So based on the video before this, you can probably already tell what the defining theme of this free verse poem will be. Alright, I'll jump right into it because you've already spent long enough listening to something else. Speed it up if you must. Open your heart to their misery. Will we change? Before I start, let it be known. Um, I'm very, I very much recognize the fact that I'm imposing a lot of pressure in some of these poems upon the individual, upon the self, while also simultaneously recognizing that there are systems that are imposed to make it seem like the blame should be ours individually, when in reality, there are greater forces at large doing heinous, abysmal acts and then covering it up through the lens of you did this, you need to. However, I also want to recognize, I'm not going to say two things can exist at once because those two should not exist at once, even if they might in this world, which is weird. But I wanted to recognize the idea that we, that I can only recognize my own shadow right now, and there's only so much I can really change. So a lot of these poems are reflections of self and what I can do and what I know how to do, and this is all I know how to do. Right? Recite poetry, put it out there, and hope that someone else latches onto it. Um, but maybe one day I'll be able to figure out if there's anyone that can be held accountable and put that out there. But for now, the only person I can hold accountable is me, that person in the mirror. And hopefully that cascades and results in a bunch of people looking in the mirror and reflecting. And then in that case, that's great. But I just don't want this to feel like it's accusatory or someone feels like I'm saying, you. Like when you're listening to a song and they're like, you're broke, get your money up. And you're like, damn, I was enjoying this song. What do you mean I'm broke? What? Anywho, this poem is Open Your Heart to Their Misery. Will we change? Will we change? History is giving us a chance to change, to alter the course of a history that keeps dividing itself and then stands trembling in the aftermath, looking at the debris, the wreckage, the quiet bodies of viciousness, and asking again why our hands did what our hands did in the name of grief, in the name of mourning, in the name of loss. May all the dead be held here. Let this be a requiem, an ode for all those who were never held before. I ask, for those who have had someone taken, for those whose families were laid bare before their eyes. I know the feeling that cannot be escaped. The blinding, the vengeance, the grief, the rage, the sadness, like a storm moving behind the eyes where no light reaches. A feeling that shouldn't even be contained or spoken with words. And immediately we want it corrected. Immediately we want balance restored. Immediately we ask for fury that stretches further than the mercy we offer in ordinary life. We do not ask for love, we ask for an eye sometimes. Because even if an eye for an eye leaves everyone blind, sometimes it feels better to be blind than to keep seeing and feeling the pain. Than to see yourself reflected through the eyes of those who hurt you from the same place you now stand. So I ask, when does vengeance stop? When do we release the belief that blood answers blood? When do we stop needing someone else to feel what we feel? Because when rage blinded us, what did we want? The same thing they wanted. Death begets death. Because once death arrives, the mind cannot reason, cannot measure, cannot properly hold proportions. I feel like that's reductive. I'm not saying that someone who experiences death can't reason properly, because that's not fair. Again, these are reflections of self. It can only rage. Rage for the life that was loved, rage for the future that vanished, rage in a language no human words will ever be enough to hold. So I ask, why war again? Why war again? When history has already shown us what it does to our fathers and mothers and their fathers and their mothers and theirs and their children. Yes, sometimes things must break before they can be repaired, but I ask, are we seeking justice or are we feeding vengeance and calling it justice? Because the pain demands a name. Sometimes it feels like we are pawns in an endless chess game. Country fires at country, another country strikes back, and then the first forgets what it did, intentionally or accidentally, I don't know, and remembers only its own wound. Amnesia wearing the mask of righteousness. I know pain does not listen. Pain closes the ears, pain rejects language. Still I ask these words to become feeling so they can be heard where hearing is still possible. Because grief is shared humanity. Every person taken is taken from someone, and before fury, I ask for curiosity. Not because it is morally superior, not because it is noble, but because I no longer know what is right. I only know what is wrong. History knows too. And still it happens again and again and again. How do we keep believing the same rhetoric? How do we keep allowing ourselves to be moved by governments that move us like cattle until their cause feels like ours? But it is not ours. This is not absolution. This is not honor. This is dying for leaders who cannot see beyond their own hunger for power, for control, for history written in their name, while humanity bleeds inside the sentence. When will a leader ask a nation to choose the path of least harm? To sit with the emotion, to confront the wound, to change the nature of hurt instead of repeating it. Have we not hurt enough? Have we not been angry enough? Have we not killed and killed and killed enough? In the moment of injury, revenge feels reasonable. But I ask, do not make hindsight your enemy. Do not arrive later at the same grave history always builds and say, we should have chosen differently. We can choose differently. Now, this moment is still open. We are being pulled into battles built from illusion, battles that are not ours. We must learn to see the pain of those who cause pain and to understand our own suffering not as something separate, not as something greater, but as part of a shared human wound. Because isolation magnifies grief until it blinds the heart from seeing anything else. And here's the most difficult truth. The most unpopular truth in moments of deep pain, the person you may share the most with is the one who caused it. I cannot say more, there is too much inside that sentence, so I will only leave this. Will we change? History is waiting, and this time the moment is still alive to be better again. Will we change? Will we change? History is giving us a chance, a thin door left ajar, a moment to alter the course of a history that keeps dividing and then acting surprised when we stand ankle deep in aftermath and debris, in the viciousness of what our hands have done, in the name of grief, in the name of mourning, in the name of lamenting over why we did what we did. May all the dead be held here as a requiem for all those who were not held before. I ask for all those who have been for all those who have had members taken from them, family laid bare as they look upon them. I do know the inescapable feeling of being blinded by vengeance of grief, by rage like a storm beyond one's eyes. We ask immediately for it to be rectified, immediately. We ask immediately for fury that extends past the mercy we sometimes give to others in our lives. We ask not for love, but for an eye, because even if an eye for an eye leaves everybody blind, you would much rather be blind than hurting, because at least blind means you do not have to see yourself through the eyes of the ones who caused pain from the exact place. So I'm asking again when vengeance will stop, when we will shed the belief that bloodshed is the answer for bloodshed, the idea that we need to make another feel the way we feel, like we do not remember that when we felt blinding rage, all we wanted to do was probably the same thing that they wanted to do. Death begets death because once it comes, the human mind is not really able to look past it because it's a crime against humanity. I ask, why war again? Why war again? Why war again? Why fight battles for people who see us like cattle, who will exchange us, who deem us expendable, who create markets and literally call it job markets, which means you have to do what? You have to sell yourself. You are selling yourself for a market. I can't really ask people to change if I refuse to do so, so hopefully with these steps forward, I myself do the same. Because realistically, these words aren't reaching the people who need it the most. They're reaching the ones who have already been forced to be saints and forgive and take the high road and do what's needed to be done. This won't get to the people who really need to hear this. But to those who do, I love you and appreciate you dearly, and I hope that you can take something away from this. Because there are so many people who are very much doing great, who are very much doing well, and who are trying their best, who then hear this, they're like, what am I doing wrong? I need to do better. And I feel horrible because strategically, this is not going to the pages that it should, and that's fine, because those who see it I love dearly, but I always get sad because I don't want you guys to think that I'm like inundating you with the world's problems and putting it on your shoulders, because there are so many people who are causing havoc again, and they just, yeah. All right, love you dearly. May our laments be heard. Later.